Father. The human didn't come to fight, he came to end our species. The words echoed through the war chamber like a death sentence. Emperor Kalar of Zorith did not fear armies. He did not fear rebellions. He did not fear extinction-level weapons. But he feared certainty. And the prince's voice carried certainty. A hologram ignited in the center of the throne room. A single human stood in the ashes of Zoritha's outer defense ring. Millions of credits worth of planetary shields, gone. Not destroyed. Silenced. No fleet surrounded him. No soldiers marched behind him. No war banners flew in the sky. He stood alone. Calm. The emperor leaned forward. What weapon does he carry? The prince swallowed. Nothing, father. The chamber trembled as distant explosions rippled across the planet's surface. Entire energy grids were shutting down, one by one, as if the world itself were surrendering to him. How? The emperor demanded. The prince's next words changed everything. He hacked our quantum core, using technology we developed from Earth. Silence. Earth. A minor colony world they had disciplined 3 cycles ago. The prince continued, voice cracking for the first time in his life. Our strike destroyed a civilian research dome. The hologram zoomed closer to the human's face. There was no rage there. No madness. Only grief carved so deeply it looked permanent. We identified him, the prince whispered. Dr. Elias Varin. Lead architect of Earth's planetary defense network. The emperor's claws tightened. And his motive? The prince closed his eyes. His daughter was inside that dome. At that exact moment, Zoritha's primary shield collapsed. Across the planet, alarms began to scream. The human finally spoke, his voice broadcast across their entire world. You took my child. A pause. So I will take your future. The sky above Zorith began to dim. Not from smoke. Not from invasion ships. But from something far more terrifying. Control. Across the planet, systems were shutting down with surgical precision. Defense satellites drifted offline. War factories powered down. Communication towers fell silent. Dr. Elias Varin was not attacking randomly. He was dismantling them. Inside the throne chamber, Emperor Kalar watched cities fade into darkness one by one. He could destroy us instantly, the emperor growled. Why is he prolonging this? The prince stared at the hologram. Because he wants us to feel it. On the projection, Elias walked slowly through the ruins of a fallen defense tower. His movements were calm, almost gentle. He touched the alien metal as if studying it, learning it. He's using our own neural network against us, a royal scientist whispered. He's rewriting our planetary code. The emperor turned sharply. Impossible. No, Majesty, the scientist replied, trembling. It's elegant. Suddenly, a new transmission interrupted every screen across the empire. Elias appeared again. Not as a warrior. As a father. Behind him floated a holographic recording, a small human girl laughing in a sunlit garden dome. The image flickered. Then glitched. Then froze. You called it collateral damage, Elias said quietly. His voice did not shake. But that dome held children. Scientists. Families. The emperor's jaw tightened. This is war, he muttered. Elias looked directly into the camera, as if staring into the emperor's soul. No, he said. This is consequence. At that moment, Zoritha's atmospheric stabilizers began failing. Storm systems formed unnaturally fast. Oceans started receding from their shores. Not explosions. Not fire. Extinction by environmental collapse. The prince's breathing became uneven. Father, he's not killing us. He paused. He's erasing our ability to survive. And for the first time in a 1,000-year reign, Emperor Kaler felt fear. Storms swallowed the horizon. Zoratha's oceans pulled back like the planet itself was afraid. Cities flickered in darkness. The once invincible empire now stood silent, fragile. In the throne chamber, Emperor Kaler watched his world collapse without a single bomb being fired. "Open a direct channel," he ordered. For the first time in Zoratha's history, the emperor requested to speak. The hologram shifted. Dr. Elias Varen appeared, standing alone beneath Zoratha's broken sky. Wind tore at his coat. Lightning illuminated the grief etched into his face. "You have my attention, human," the emperor said, voice no longer thunderous, but controlled. Elias did not bow. "You had my daughter's attention too," he replied quietly. For 6 seconds. Silence. The prince stepped forward. "What do you want?" Elias looked at the raging storms around him. With a small motion of his wrist, the wind slowed, just slightly. "Proof. I can finish this in 12 minutes, he said calmly. "Your biosphere is already destabilized beyond recovery." The emperor clenched his claws. "Then why haven't you?" Elias' eyes hardened, but tears stood in them. "Because my daughter believed something I don't." The emperor frowned. "What?" "That intelligent life deserves a chance to grow, even after making terrible mistakes." Another gesture. The storms weakened further. Oceans stopped receding. The prince stared in disbelief. "You're giving us mercy." Elias' jaw tightened. "No," he said. "I'm giving you responsibility." A data stream flooded Zoratha's systems, restoration protocols, environmental stabilizers, technology centuries beyond their own. "You will rebuild Earth," Elias continued. "Every colony. Every life support dome. You will dedicate your empire to preservation instead of conquest." "And if we refuse?" the emperor asked quietly. Elias looked up at the sky, and for a split second, every storm intensified again. "You won't." A long pause. The Emperor of Zorath slowly lowered his head. Not in defeat. In acknowledgement. For the first time in galactic history, an empire was conquered not by power, but by a father's grief. The storms calmed. The ocean stabilized. Zorath survived. But survival did not feel like victory. Across the empire, billions watched in silence as restoration code from a grieving human rewrote their future. Their war fleets powered down. Their weapons factories sealed themselves. Military command systems were permanently locked. Not destroyed. Disabled. The emperor stood alone in his private chamber, staring at the stars. "We ruled through fear," he muttered. Behind him, Prince Karen spoke softly, "and today we were ruled by loss." Meanwhile, on the planet's surface, Elias Varen stood beneath clearing skies. The winds had died. The destruction had stopped. He had done what no army could. He had bent an empire. But his hands were shaking. A small holographic projector flickered beside him again, the image of his daughter laughing, running through artificial sunlight. He replayed the recording over and over. Each time it hurt more. "You would have forgiven them," he whispered to the image. "I almost didn't." His wrist device blinked. Zorath had accepted the treaty. Earth would be rebuilt. Its ecosystems restored. Its colonies reformed. And Zorath would dedicate generations to protecting life instead of conquering it. Technically, he had won. But victory felt empty. Up in orbit, Zoratha's surviving generals gathered secretly. One of them hissed, "We cannot let a single human dictate our destiny." Another replied quietly, "He dismantled us without firing a weapon." The first general's eyes narrowed. "Then we don't fight him." A pause. We study him. Far below, Elias looked up at the alien sky, unaware that not all hearts had changed. And somewhere deep within Zoratha's military archives, a new file was created. Project, Human Containment. Mercy had been given. But peace? Peace was fragile, the sentence still burned across every Zorathian screen. Mercy was your last chance. For a moment, the planet held its breath. Then it happened. Deep within the Imperial fleet, one ambitious general overrode the silent treaty protocols. A single experimental weapon powered up, not to attack, but to test. A narrow pulse of quantum disruption fired toward the surface. Toward Elias. It was small. Precise. Calculated. It never reached him. Mid-atmosphere, the pulse froze, suspended like a shard of glass in the sky. Across Zorath, gravity shifted. Lights flickered. The oceans trembled again. In the throne chamber, Emperor Kaler roared, "Who gave that order?" But it was too late. On the surface, Elias slowly lowered his head. Not in rage. In disappointment. "I begged you," he whispered. His daughter's hologram appeared one last time beside him. The recording glitched, her laughter cutting into static. The planetary core responded to him instantly. Not with storms. Not with fire. With silence. Every power source on Zorath, civilian, military, royal, shut down at once. Total blackout. In orbit, ships lost propulsion and drifted helplessly. Atmospheric stabilizers disengaged. This time, he wasn't pausing the collapse. He was completing it. In the darkness of the throne room, the Emperor fell to one knee. "Stop this!" Kaler shouted into the void. "We will surrender fully." A final transmission cut through the blackness. Elias' voice. Heavy. Broken. "My daughter believed in your future." A pause. "I don't." Far below, the planetary crust began to fracture, not exploding, but unraveling at the molecular level. Zorath wasn't being destroyed violently. It was being erased. And as the empire of conquerors faded into cosmic dust, one grieving father stood alone beneath a dying sky. He didn't look victorious. He looked empty. Because extinction is easy. Living with it is not.